Ding! Means we're on. Hi, I'm Ashley Collins, Communications Coordinator for the Office for Peace and Justice in the Archdiocese of Chicago, and we have...
I'm Brianna, the Office in Peace and Justice intern for Communications, and that's Whiskers.
He is not paying attention. Over here.
Whiskers.
There we go.
That's Whiskers.
Official spokescat for hashtag Project CST. Ta-da! So we're coming at you this week. Sorry we couldn't get a video out to you last week. So much was going on that just didn't have time. So we are doubling up today to cover two Catholic social themes, Catholic social teaching themes this week. So Brianna, drum roll please. The first one that we're going to cover from last week is the Catholic social teaching of the call to community, family, and participation. Brianna, what does the Church say?
The Church says, "For by his innermost nature, man is a social being, and unless he relates himself to others, he can neither live nor develop his potential." And that is from Gaudium et Spes, number 12.
It's Gaudium, not...
I'm sorry!
Et Spes. Well, it's all that Latin.
Gaudium.
Anyways, yes. So we've covered the fact that every single person is made in the image of God and therefore has dignity that needs to be respected. And then now we're covering the fact that we're all individuals, but we're all living together in community and family. And by our innermost nature, meaning we were built to relate to each other. We were made to be in communion. In fact, God himself is a communion. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Even in God, it's relational and communal. And so we were built in his image, therefore we were built and made to be in relationship with one another. So to focus on that, we kind of looked at different ways that we can relate to each other. And one of the things that we worked on was to get in contact with L'Arche, or L'Arc. It's French. I don't know. Anyway, so it's a location. It's a community of people with disabilities that live, and not just disabilities, people with and without disabilities living together in community to getting fuzzy. To live and grow with one another. And then we did the live hangout, which didn't work, some technical difficulties, but we did figure it out, and we got it up this week, so you can check out our YouTube channel for that interview with the director for L'Arche Chicago, talking about how we are, come on camera, get with it, how we are all called to live together, and we cannot shun away people because of different reasons, especially, if, in this case, in L'Arche's case, if they have some type of disabilities. So check out that YouTube video. Brianna, what else did we cover last week?
Last week we also talked about Reese's Rainbow, I believe it's called, and we did some work on, or showed some videos about that on our Facebook page, and I believe we did some other stuff called Sassy. I didn't do it, but Ashley did.
Sassy. Sassy. Sassy stands for the Social Action Summer Institute, and it's kind of a peace and justice convention held every year, and this year it was in St. Louis, beautiful city by the way, and the theme for the week, we didn't plan this, I promise you, but it worked out perfectly. The theme was restorative justice, where we are talking about people leaving the criminal justice system trying to get back into the community. And how are we helping and how are we hindering this this ability to have ex-convicts come back into the community? Are we just shunning them? Are we like, oh, they're criminals, they need to be put away, locked away forever? Stuff like that. And actually, it was really interesting. I was watching, where was I? I was watching Les Mis the other night, and like the very opening scene, the opening part of Les Mis is about restorative justice. It was the church showing Jean Valjean through this priest how to re-assimilate back into the community. He gave him silver and he gave him a chance, and the guy was transformed by it, and he ended up building a company and stuff like that. So it was very interesting. It's the most Catholic social teaching movie I've seen. The more I watched it, it covered like everything. But anyway, restorative justice was one of the aspects. Even here in Chicago, with the Catholic Campaign for Human Development, we have the Precious Blood Ministry of Reconciliation kind of on the south side of Chicago that helps with this very thing. So, yeah, restorative justice and making sure that everyone is able to give to the community, even if they might have messed up. I mean, we all mess up. Even if they didn't really mess up and they were just locked away, bringing people back into the community, and how are we helping with that? So you can check out all our Facebook pages. In the website, we also have some information and links about how to get involved with that. So last week, everyone has something to give, therefore everyone can live in a community. So that was last week. Now, this week, what do we got?
This week we talked about the Catholic social teaching of the dignity of work and the rights of workers, and we were able to interview Maria Fitzsimmons, who works in the Archdiocese, and she was able to talk to us about why this issue is important, and it was really cool, actually. I was like, it was weird because I was like, it was not weird. It was like inspiring and interesting, and I was like, whoa, and I had a lot of whoa moments during that interview. You just
whoa! I learned a lot from that interview. I really did. Maria is the organizer for Organizing Catholics for Justice here in the Archdiocese of Chicago, and the Justice Education Coordinator. So she works to make sure that stuff like this happens. #ProjectCST, so that we're educating people in Catholic social teaching, but then moving them, getting people organized so that if there's some type of law or something that's kind of going against Catholic social teaching, we can pull all the Catholics together, we can organize the Catholics for Justice, and really try to make some change happen here in Chicago. So organizingcatholicsforjustice.org, you can find out more about that. And the interview is up on our website and our YouTube channel. We covered a few other things. So this past week was pretty exciting. Can you tell them about some other stuff that happened?
Sorry. What?
I pick up my beard sometimes. It's just...
we had the chance to talk about Loom Chicago, where it's this basically place in Chicago where they sell handmade goods. And
stop. You know what we didn't do?
We didn't. What didn't we do?
What does the church say?
The church says in many cases poverty results from a violation of the dignity of human work, either because work opportunities are limited through unemployment or underemployment, or because a low value is put on work and the rights that flow from it, especially the right to just wage and the personal security of workers and his or her family. And that is from Caritas and Veritate, number 63. Did I say it right this time? I can't hear you. Sound is not working, Ashley.
Can you hear me now?
I can.
Okay. In Veritate.
Veritate.
As Hermione says, it's Leviosa, not Leviosa. Anyways, yes, the dignity of work and the rights of workers. Mankind is social, but in that regard, he also needs to be able to provide for himself and for his family. And so everyone should have the ability to have a job, and be able to take care of that, because it's taking part in God's creation, in creating, in building, and producing. And so we're all called to be able to give in some sort of way, in different ways. And so we need to be able to allow people to work. And then on top of that, when they do work, we have to make sure that their dignity is upheld. Um, Sometimes companies can just really think of people as cogs in a machine. Just they stick one in there and it just keeps going instead of an actual human person. And so the church calls us as people of God to, if we own a business, if we have employees, to ensure that we're taking care of them as people and not just as a means to an end. Again, it's rooted in that first week of human dignity. So back to Loom. Loom Chicago is another CCHD grantee, Catholic Campaign for Human Development, and they have refugee women that come together, and they might have it's hard for them to work. So what they do is they do these handcrafts of jewelry and clothes and just amazing things to give these women the ability to provide for themselves and their family. So go yay Loom. Beautiful, beautiful project. What else did we cover? You remember?
So much. We talked about the Warehouse Workers for Justice, the Restaurant Opportunity Center, and Chicago Fair Trade and CRS Fair Trade.
Oh yes, the fair trade. Now people might think that, oh yeah, that's whatever, but it's actually really important. We're talking about making sure that companies take care of their workers. And one of the ways that here in Chicago is that we're getting this ordinance passed called the Sweat-Free Chicago, and it's to make sure that the city employees, like uniforms and such, are coming from ethical businesses. They're not coming from sweatshops where people don't treat their workers well at all. They don't recognize that dignity in them. And so some members from the Office for Peace and Justice were actually downtown this past week, and they worked on getting this passed through the Aldermen's Committee. And it still has a little bit more to go. So we can't stop now. We won't stop now. I just got all Miley on everyone. I'm sorry. I don't even want to do this.
Can't stop, and we won't stop.
It's time to call your alderman. Anyway, go to our website and check out the link about the Sweat-Free Chicago. And it gives you a link to call your alderman and say, this is something I support. We want this to happen. And so it takes people like you watching this here in Chicago. Or maybe it's not even you're in Chicago right now, and you're like, oh, maybe I should do this for my city. Do it. Call your alderman and let them know that this is something that needs to be passed. Because it's for better Chicago, and we're really supporting those companies that support their workers, and let them know that we care about that. That's it. We should paste the link to our super awesome weekly emails that we send out down here. So click on the link down there and then subscribe, because every Friday we send up a follow-up Friday email where we kind of talk about all of this in like condensed form. So take a look at that. Next week. And what we got next week? What's the hashtag for next week?
I'm really
good.
Next week's hashtag is opt for the poor, which we're talking about the Catholic social teaching of the option for the poor and vulnerable, and we're going to be talking to some people from not only the Office of Peace and Justice, but also someone from Illinois Catholic, Chicago, Catholic Illinois.
They work with legislation in Chicago and in the state, actually. So yeah, preferential option for the poor and vulnerable next week on how we need to make sure that when we're making laws, when we're setting up things, that the poor are not shoved aside. We need to make sure that we care for them before we care for people who are fine, really. So next week, preferential option for the poor. We got some cool stuff lined up. Tuesday's interview is set to go. They are all very excited.
Yeah, I guess that's it. You think that's it? You got your thumbs up, like that's all. Okay, is Whisker still there? I can't see.
No, he left.
Oh, he was bored, I guess. Okay, so this has been. Oh wait, that's your line.
How dare you?
Sorry.
It's okay. I would just like to say I'm Brianna,
And I'm Ashley from hashtag Project CST.
Project CSD, and this has been your everyday daily
Fine.
dose of Catholic social teaching for your everyday life. I'm so bad.
Come on, get it right. All right, stop.
Next recording.
Start over. Okay, ready? Go.
Okay. This has been Catholic social teaching for your everyday life.